Kamchatka. It's the land of fire and ice. The peninsula is one of the most volcanic regions on the planet, sharing the cold latitudes of Siberia and Alaska. It was a forbidden territory that the Soviet military kept off limits to outsiders for many years, and only in recent history was it reopened to the rest of the world. For years I had looked out on a map and wondered about surfing there. With the long coastline that borders the Pacific, it seemed like there would be lots of potential, but the region's rugged terrain posed huge challenges for surf exploration. Few surfers had ever visited the remote peninsula, and none of us knew what to expect. Preparing and planning to do a trip to a completely unknown place is a daunting task. We had picked a team we knew could endure the environment. It included Keith Malloy, Dane Gudauskas, Cyrus Sutton, Trevor Gordon, Foster Huntington, Weiland, and myself. We would be led by Lena and Sergei, two locals who were well acquainted with Kamchatka's wilderness. Our flight connected from Anchorage, Alaska, to the city of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky. Once we landed, we would set out for 2 weeks camping along the coast.
There's a bad moon on the rise. Kamchatka.
We decided to drive out to the closest beach. We didn't really know where it would be good or what areas had the most potential. With such a long coastline, you're asking yourself, where do we even begin? When we arrived, we were glad to see the ocean. The beach stretched for miles in either direction and the waves were coming in. To find a good sandbar, we began to drive along the beach, getting a feel for the area. We eventually found a place by a river mouth that looked like a good spot to set up camp.
Okay, let's just camp here.
I'll just go there and see if it's even rideable.
That is classic. Yes. The test drive.
I couldn't even paddle. My hands are so cold.
The river mouth gave us an idea of how dynamic the environment was. Its location would move over the course of only a few hours, and by the end of the day, the beach would have taken a completely different shape. When you first get there, it's hard to know if there's something better a little bit further, so the tendency is to always want to keep looking. It wasn't long before our curiosity began to take hold. The swell was fading, and we wondered what was further north. Perhaps the coast up there would be catching more swell, and we were ready to pack up and head on. Kamchatka is a difficult place to explore. the peninsula is volcanic and mountainous, right across from Siberia. Other than the beaches around the city, there's almost no coastal road access. Up here we were far away from civilization, a few fishing outposts, but not much else, as we soon discovered the sea was completely flat, so we made camp inland next to a river to see what Kamchatka fishing is all about. A huge part of the peninsula's tourism revolves around fishing. It's like the North Shore of fly fishing. People come here to fish rivers that have never been fished before. The peninsula is home to one of the biggest populations of salmon in the world.
We're all fishing, and 2 fish that were trying to swim up the river got washed up onto the shore. So Cyrus grabbed one, Foster grabbed one right off the shore, totally alive silver salmon, just got washed up by shore break onto their feet practically.
We soon found out that we weren't the only ones trying to catch fish. Kamchatka is also home to a prolific grizzly bear population.
You couldn't even take a step without stepping on a bear track.
No way.
And they look fresh, so we'll see what the night holds.
We had heard stories of nature photographers getting ripped out of their tents and eaten, and scientists being trapped in a cabin by 30 hungry bears. When we asked Sergey what kind of protection he had for us, he pointed to a car battery and a small wire. They said it would keep the bears out. We hope they were right. The bears never showed up. Apparently there was enough fish to go around for all of us. Over breakfast we had talked about where to go next. Sergey mentioned to us a bay that he had been to over a year ago. It was an extremely rugged route that wound between volcanoes and through a densely forested valley. He had gone there as sort of a way to test the limits of his truck, a rite of passage you could say. He said he had seen waves breaking there, and it sounded promising, so he packed up and headed out.
So we just went through a full-on tunnel of trees. There's a bunch of holes in the board bags, maybe a couple crushed noses. But probably worth it, so fun.
Oh! One of my nose broke off. Oh my god! Tree branches were so gnarly, they were just snapping at the board bags, and we're like, gosh, did they make it? Did they make it? I'm like, I think they did. And then I opened it up, and now I got like a 6-inch board I can ride.
You can lift it up on one side.
God, the life we could take a shovel to this stuff.
When we arrived at the coast, it was completely sopped in fog. It was getting dark quickly, so we set up camp as fast as possible.
Yeah, I might need that.
It was a sheltered bay. Not a lot of swell made it in, but Cyrus took his longboard out and caught a few waves. He was the first person to surf there.
I think the seals were kind of pissed. I think one seal came up and fully splashed me. I don't think I'm the first person to surf here. I think they were.
So we've been roaming basically in this big old Russian army vehicle looking for surf. We've gotten really nice weather and the water's beautiful.
It was apparent that this bay on a given swell could be a world-class setup with a flawless river mouth, but it would take an extremely precise swell direction, which wasn't forecasted anytime soon, and we needed to keep moving. On the way out, Sergey took us to a geothermal pool higher up in the valley.
Makes you grow hair on your chest, they say in Russia. So. I gotta do this, start doing this a lot.
The weather varied every day. Some mornings the sun came up bright red. Other days, fog and rain would stick around all day. It was difficult to predict, but regardless of the changing temperatures and conditions on land, the ocean never got warmer than 42 degrees.
Well, it's funny because like when you are in places where it is cold, you know, the water's really cold, or sometimes you're trying to find new waves and you're trying to stay out for a while and the cold's really getting to you, and you know, it's a new challenge and I just love it. It's like I kind of relish in the discomfort. You know, I was sitting out there the other day with no hood on and it was probably 40-degree water and I was like, gosh, it hurts a little bit, but I kind of liked it. It was like I felt alive, you know, like really alive. And you kind of get like a little bit of a, you know, enjoyment out of that. That's why coming to these unique cold places is a cool treat, because it's a physical activity, but there's a lot of mental challenges that come along with it. Kind of like staying in the right zone, staying in the right headspace, and overcoming little adversities, you know, in the weather, and just keeping the stoke alive. I love coming to these places because it's always a new adventure, like always. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. For sure, it could be raining, it's sunny and 80 degrees right now, and then I gotta be ready for that. So it's cool, I like that.
Yesterday we surfed this wave about 1.5 miles up the beach. It's on a military base, like a submarine military base, so you're not technically allowed to surf it, but we paddled out anyways, and sure enough, a military guy comes walking down and starts talking to some of the guys filming, and it turns out to be super nice. And he let us surf for about 2 hours before he had to get back to work, and he escorted us down the river and made sure we crossed the river back to our camp. It was a pretty unique experience.
Crystal clear today. We're gonna go up on the chopper. We're gonna go check out that wave that we've been checking on Google Earth, and hopefully it's good.
The challenge of getting to the coast to find waves is a theme throughout the history of surfing. But in a place like Kamchatka, it's even harder than usual because the coastline is so remote. Much of the peninsula's coast can't be accessed by land at all, so we waited for an opportunity to get there by air. We had seen a wave in satellite images that looked promising, but it was completely isolated and remote. We packed all of our camping gear into the helicopter so that we could get dropped off for a few days in case we came across quality surf. It was a scary thought to be left alone out in the wilderness with no one but bears to keep us company.
When I remember this trip, it's just like sheer adventure, like going into the unknown, kind of just seeing what was out there, like what could be around that next corner. I don't even know, but like a perfect wave could exist right there, or a bear. And that's why I love these trips, because you You literally never know.
Steep mountains surrounded the coastline we aimed for, an area impossible to access by land. Dozens of coves and inlets faced out to sea in different directions, and we hoped that in such a diverse area, something would be catching swell. We came across a cove that looked promising. The beach stretched for miles in either direction. With not a soul in sight, it felt wild, like landing on another planet.
There's a couple in the corner over there. The wind's a little more offshore, but it's not too big.
Unfortunately, the waves were too small. The spot we had seen on Google Earth faced a different direction, and we thought our chances would be better there. Soon we came over the mountains and spotted the cove. As we descended, it appeared that we were landing in someone's backyard. We could see the setup at the end of the bay. A river pushed a gravel sandbar out to sea in a triangle shape. From the air, we saw seals frolicking around the lineup as salmon came down the river. It was the first time we had seen a proper salmon run in Kamchatka, and as we got closer to shore, we saw tiny waist-high waves peeling in perfect unison. It was an incredible setting for a wave, and we all saw the potential, but unfortunately, the swell just wasn't enough. With the river teeming with fish, we quickly threw down our boards and grabbed our fishing poles.
Foster nailed it. He got a great fish and a great shot with the fishing bow. I got 2 nice silver salmon fly fishing, so I was really happy with that. Biggest fish I've ever caught on a fly pole.
I was asking the restaurant guy, I'm like, hey, or he was just like, dude, you got this little orange metal guy? I was like, yeah. I showed him my bait tackle box, and he's like, he picked it out for me, so hopefully it's good luck charm. He said they're big, so he said just get on there, hold tight, give them hell. So that's it. What to do here? Come on. What? Yeah, get him. What? Yes.
On our way back from the heliport, we stopped in the city. The place seemed like a flashback to 30 years ago. People everywhere, driving in military vehicles, giving strange glances.
It's always trippy when you come back to town in the city and when you're kind of been away from all that stuff for a while, like today. We toured the major city in Kamchatka, and yeah, it was just a kind of a crazy contrast between civilization and the nature that we were kind of isolated in.
Of the pine boughs calling down.
It's got to be the best raspberries ever in the world. Like, you can't put them in your mouth and they just melt. It's just the best flavor. That's why I got the whole bucket.
We carry out our blind agreement. And never once
Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky is the main population center on the peninsula. The city isn't connected to the rest of the continent by road, making it one of the most isolated urban areas in the world. It was a weekend, and out at the beach, people came from the city to enjoy the unusually warm weather. Our short time in Kamchatka reminded us of the joys of traveling to new and untouched places, and we know we barely scratched the surface of what it has to offer. For us at first, Kamchatka seemed like a myth, but we quickly realized it's a dynamic and changing region that for now remains one of the most wild places on Earth. We live on a vast and beautiful planet that is worth protecting, and we hope to share these wild places to inspire others to experience them for themselves.
I don't think when I was a kid surfing, I ever thought it would take me to, I should look for waves for one, and to meet some really cool people. Like, everyone here has just been incredible, hospitality-wise, and just sharing their culture with us has just been insane, so I couldn't be more stoked.
This place exceeded my expectations, especially the beauty of it was by far something I had only dreamed of getting. Offshore conditions with, salmon every night, helicopter rides to waves that people have never even seen.
I was honored to come on this trip and actually get really good waves and have an amazing time. It's such a unique crew, and it's been really cool.
It was a trip that I'll always remember, something that will be a testament just to the ideas that we think up in our heads sometimes, and maybe the opportunities that seem unattainable, but if you put enough effort and energy into it, they can work out.
One word. Preacher man on the TV trying to bring down the rock and roll. Asked me for a vocation cause he's worried about my soul. Well, Jesus walked on the water and I know that this is true. But sometime that old preacher boy like to do a little walking too. Cause I ain't asking nobody for nothing. I can't get it on my own. You don't like the way I'm living, you just leave this long hair country boy alone. You don't like the way I'm living, just leave this long hair country boy